The following video has all dialogue and subtitles turned off to minimize story spoilers. Gameplay shown is from an early build of the Edge of Fate and is subject to change. Hello everyone and welcome back to A Whole New World, where today I would like to talk about the portal. I would like to talk about leveling and some other changes coming to the game. The portal is Bungie's attempt at a new way to interact with Destiny. The director menu has become incredibly daunting over time, leaving players who aren't as locked into the game kind of confused as to what to go do. Bungie's goal with the portal menu is to make things much clearer to understand and get people into gameplay significantly faster than you usually would. I'm guessing a lot of you will pop open the game, fly to the tower, check some menus before either just logging off completely or inevitably finding something to do. The portal looks to replace all of that with a series of activities for you to find and immediately hop into. Before we get to the portal though, I want to explain leveling in the Edge of Fate, because once you understand leveling, the portal is going to make more sense. I'll probably make another video when the expansion launches purely on this topic, which will reiterate a lot of things in this video, but I do want to give some kind of a preview now so that people can start to mentally prepare. In the Edge of Fate, we are getting a big stat and number crunch. Our current power floor is 1900, for example. In the Edge of Fate, everyone's getting reset back down to 10. Then, from 10 to 200 is the persistent level range. From 10 to 200, you're just getting any kind of gear, you're infusing it up, same kind of deal that we're used to. I assume this will mainly come from playing the expansion story content. We have that world tier system coming as well. So I'm guessing the bulk of this leveling up to 200 will happen in the campaign experience, but it can also happen, I think, in the portal. After 200, so 201 and higher, is the seasonal level range, although I don't think we were told what the seasonal level cap is, so either they're still finalizing it or it doesn't even exist. I don't even know. How do you get gear once you're done with the campaign or outside of the expansion destination? Introducing the portal. When you boot up the game and load into the portal, you're going to have some options on the bottom of the screen. Solo, Fireteam, Pinnacle Ops. We know these already. Load up one of these menus and you'll see a range of activities available to you. These will be the activities available for the next few months until the mid-season update, which will shift things around. These activities can be basically anything that Bungie wants to cycle in from any range of content. For example, the Coil and Savathûn Spire were activities that I could play at the preview event. Solo Ops has had some custom activities made for it. The Salt Mines, for example, is a section of the EDZ that's been turned into its own activity. And I have already given feedback on this activity, and I hope Bungie buffs it up because I had notes that were not positive, at least for the Dread version of it. Anyway, completing these activities will reward an item. It'll say how many this activity will drop. Look closer, and some of these activities have green engrams, or maybe a specific weapon or armor slot linked with it. Green engrams means that activity will drop additional bonus loot on top of what you would normally get, and I believe these reset daily. So the goal here would be to find all of the activities that are giving out some bonus loot and focus on doing those first to accelerate your gear grind. The same goes for a specific armor or weapon slot that you're looking for if you need something more focused. If I open up Fireteam Ops, it is showing class items dropping from the Inverted Spire, along with some bonus drops. So if my class item's a little weak, boom, I run the Inverted Spire, I'm going to get a class item. Pinnacle Ops is showing a specific weapon for the day, and you're seeing the Whisper in here, Starcrossed is here, Kel's Fall is here. You'll also be able to hit some PvP playlists for bonuses or targeted farming, and for the first time, you'll be able to level up purely through PvP if you want to. While we're here, real quick, I'll talk about the Cutting Edge PvP playlist. Cutting Edge is where only new gear is allowed. New gear is marked with a blue flag underneath the symbol representing the current season or expansion, the newest items in the game. There are also a few exotics that Bungie will be labeling as new gear every season so that they too can be used in this playlist. If you're tired of using the same old stuff and you want to see what's hot with the current season or the current expansion, Cutting Edge will be for you. I believe Bungie also plans on having PvE bonuses when it comes to new gear in order to incentivize using the newest stuff, although there were many a conversation had on what this will mean for older armor that people still enjoy using for whatever those reasons might be. Bungie doesn't want to limit people too much anymore when it comes to the power grind, and they're trying to bring some meaning back to the power grind, on top of making it easier to target farm items. As a result, there does not appear to be a cap to how much you can level day to day. You can just keep grinding away as much as you want. Previously, we used to have daily or weekly caps on things like the Vanguard Ops playlist or something like that. That is gone. I'm not sure what the deal is with stuff like raid loot though, but within the portal, you can grind however much and however hard you want to grind. The only cap on leveling that I know of is the mid-season cap, which is 450. Now, how easy or hard that'll be to achieve in 3 months, I have no idea just yet. As you level up, you will gain access to more difficulty options within the activities in the portal, which increases the tier of gear that you're getting, which has more stats available or more perk options or more enhanced perks on your way to tier 5 loot, which will be the best in the game. Speaking of those difficulties, let's take a look at what pops up when you actually select an activity. In this example, we have unlocked the expert difficulty. If you just want to run expert as is, feel free to run it as is, or make it even easier with positive modifiers. But the harder you make the activity for yourself, the better your loot will become. Each activity completion is given a score/grade. To get the best rewards possible, you will want the A rank. That's as high as it goes as far as I know. There's no like S rank or anything. The game will calculate what score and grade it believes you will get with the modifiers you selected. And despite a small sample size, it is moderately accurate. It will be hard to get an A rank from what is predicted to be a C+ grade, for example, but it's also possible to grade worse than predicted. I did a run where I only got a B+ when A was predicted because I went too slow and just didn't perform very well. So, you pick your modifiers, which will increase your score, but also increase the difficulty. Enemy levels will increase, they'll gain bonuses or banes or whatever, but you control all of it. Then, you run the activity. I was told that this system is mainly balanced around simply beating the activity, not trying to speed run it or get super high scores or anything, but there is a loose time component that will affect your score. There's a time multiplier. In solo ops, there is also a randomly assigned objective to complete within the mission, something like get kills or precision kills or weapon kills or ability kill, something with killing, really. It's simple. The higher your grade, the higher level or quality loot you will get. To give a random example, let's say you're at 200 power and you run an activity that gets you a C+. You might get like a 202 or a 203 drop. That same activity run at a B+ or an A grade might drop a 205 or a 206, something like that. It might also drop at a higher tier depending on the chosen difficulty. Pretty similar to the experience nowadays of getting a powerful tier 1 versus a powerful tier 2 or tier 3. The harder a thing is, the higher the power level or tier that it'll drop at. Which brings us to infusing this new armor. I didn't get the most extensive breakdown of this, so some things might not be completely accurate here, but it is still pretty representative of the experience. From 10 to 200, you got enhancement cores, burn all those as much as you want. I can't remember if you still use upgrade modules as well, but either way, from 10 to 200 should be very familiar. But starting at 200, you will utilize the unstable core instead of the enhancement core to level your seasonal power. Seasonal power is gear you acquire after power 200, and the seasonal bonus levels that we used to get through the artifact are no longer there. It's all done through this gear. Unstable cores are used to level up your seasonal power and can be mainly obtained from dismantling this kind of armor. Although I don't recall if the armor needs to be over power 201 or if it's any armor. I'm guessing it needs to be 201 or higher though. It otherwise works the same way as Infusion has worked, though. Infusion costs a certain amount of cores, you spend the cores, you infuse your armor, done. However, now instead of a flat one upgrade module cost, the cost scales based on how many levels you are increasing the armor. Going from 200 to 205 is probably a lot cheaper than going from 200 to 250. When it comes to tier differences, there is no cost increase in core requirements though. So infusing a tier 2 into a tier 4 does not cost any extra. The only thing that matters is power. I don't have exact values for how many cores it's going to take to do this. I literally learned this information with an hour left at the event. Most notably though, unstable cores expire at the end of a season, which are now 6 months, requiring you to rebuild your reserves for the next season. Everyone starts from scratch every season. I'm guessing this is for a couple of reasons, but I assume the main ones are that Bungie wants people to more directly engage with the power grind, which is to say, not hoard tons of materials. Bungie is looking to have decision-making actually be a factor in this game again to some degree, and I talk about this a little bit more in my stats video, which is also available to watch now, so check that out when you're done with this one. At the end of a season, everyone's power will get reset back down to 200 or wherever you were in the persistent power grind, and you will start the leveling process over again. I think this is going to be a rather big point of contention, just hearing me say this versus actually playing the game, and I want to actually experience this grind before I'm willing to come to any sort of conclusion on it. I'm sure a couple weeks into a season, we're going to be drowning in unstable cores regardless, so I'm not sure how impactful that's going to be just yet, but at the very least, I think Bungie wants to halt some of the currency hoarding that has been so prevalent in the past. All of these values can be changed based on feedback as well, so at the moment, I'm not super concerned because we just don't know how it's going to play yet. I realize that set bonuses and varied armor stat packages might drive even more infusion than ever before though, which can potentially make things feel very limited if the amount of currency being given out is too low. People don't like to feel limited in their build crafting potential because they didn't have enough cores in order to make a build happen. I will be more than happy to give the feedback that unstable core distribution is too low, if it is indeed too low, if the grind is too long, or if it's not fun, all that stuff. I just can't judge it literally at all from this preview event because that is not the kind of system that I was interacting with at this event. So, what else is going on in the portal? Let's check out a brand new thing called the Seasonal Hub. If you played Heavy Metal the week that it was out, this menu should look pretty familiar. You got your rank track at the bottom, you got your daily and weekly challenges for bonus rep, you have your sub menus on the left. The play button on the left, so the second button, will bring up relevant activities to that particular event, and the title button under that will show you what you need to do to get the now revamped Conqueror title, or whatever title happens to be linked with this menu. Like, this menu is what Bungie is moving to with a lot of events in the game. Arms Week, a new event, or I guess like a revamped one, also has this menu style. Let's talk about the weekly rep track first. This is a rep track that resets every single week, and it is stocked with various rewards, strange coins, materials, engrams to level you up, bright dust, exotic materials, and something else that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Each daily challenge gets you 1 rank's worth of XP, while the weekly gets you 4 levels, or like however many pluses there are after XP, although I do think there's an extra bonus rank that you get if it's your first daily of the day or like first daily of the week or something like that. Point is, there's a bonus for doing one of these the first time. There are 5 weekly challenges, so if you get all of those done, you will hit the max rep for the week. It's 20 ranks. Now, there's a little more going on here that I can't talk about just yet, though. I had to cut some stuff out of this video because they're keeping it a secret for now. In terms of the Conqueror title, it is no longer just do all of the GMs and call it a day. It is now based on something that might be getting a bit more attention from the general player base: seasonal conquests. These are activities with their own custom modifiers that you cannot change, similar to what a GM Nightfall experience is like today. Like, you can't change the modifiers on a GM, but with multiple difficulties, and they're meant to be a test paired with the level grind. Once you unlock the mission from hitting whatever level you need to get to, you run it and you try to beat it. Beating Expert, Master, and Grandmaster will progress your title, and a difficulty above Grandmaster, Ultimate, becomes available at the highest levels. Although at the moment, Ultimate does not appear to have any titles or seals attached to it, but I have been told that there may be an emblem involved for beating some Ultimate content. Another thing that might be a point of contention are exotics. I've been told that exotics will be locked to around a tier 2/tier 3 level as of the Edge of Fate. As a result, you are probably not going to need to regrind exotics too heavily. That being said, players will be given 20 vouchers to use at A/1 to purchase exotics with whatever new stat package you would like. These vouchers are account-wide, not character-wide. So you could buy a bunch of the same exotic hunting for some kind of a god roll, or you could buy 20 unique exotics to have an updated arsenal. It's up to you. Rahul's system of exotics isn't really changing, but he will be decrypting stuff under the new stat packages. I think that is most of what I wanted to cover about the portal and leveling and all that kind of stuff. Now, if you want the old director menu, that's not going away. It's just called the World tab now. It's right next to it. But I feel like I heard Bungie say that they would not be updating this map. Like, Kepler isn't on there on the map, and I was kind of hoping that they would, so we'll see what's up with that going into the future. It does seem like things are shifting towards this portal system for the foreseeable future. I'm sure I also missed some stuff here as well, so we might learn even more once Bungie starts dropping some of their articles. How do I feel about all this? It kind of feels like the Fortnite-ification of Destiny in a way, where instead of seeing the world we inhabit, we're just at some launch pad, splash screen, picking activities that way. It kind of reminds me of when I used to have to physically go to places in World of Warcraft before the advent of the dungeon queue system. And then you just sat in the main city and waited for things to pop up. It feels like some of the scale of the world is going away in that manner. At the same time, though, it is going to make things much easier for the average person to be able to understand and filter, especially new players. Being presented with a screen like this, the portal, is probably a bit less daunting than the old director map, filled with tons of icons and submenus of destinations, of which you're not really sure what's worth doing and what's not worth doing. I'm interested to see how it plays out once it's actually implemented, though. I personally don't mind hopping into the tower and pre-planning my route through the game. I imagine plenty of people have gotten used to it, but that's because we already know how it all works. Onboarding new players into that system is a lot more difficult, especially with very little guidance in-game, so we'll see. Maybe I'll bring back my friend Spencer for another crack at Destiny once all of this is out, and we'll see how an actual new player feels about it. In terms of the leveling stuff, loot is being tiered off in a way that I don't think people are very used to. But at the same time, the loot that we have right now in the game is equivalent to a grind that doesn't really seem that brutal to conquer. Sure, raid weapons have gotten locked away behind the raid, but not every single raid weapon is even good, much less great. I fully expect the dads with 19 children and 47 hockey practices to come out and speak about their lack of time to go grind up their levels and all that kind of stuff, but I do think there is some validity to the claim. The highest tier loot is locked behind a somewhat hefty grind wall, in addition to somewhat of a skill wall, which I'm not as concerned about, but at the moment it feels mainly like a time-based thing than a skill thing. However, fire team power is still a thing, I'm pretty sure anyway, so those who might not have the time to grind can still link up with people who can and only be a tiny bit behind in an activity instead of dozens of levels behind. I don't think Bungie will get it perfect on their first try in terms of the pacing, and there's nothing that says that they can't adjust though. I do expect the grind to initially be on the longer side, to then be potentially shortened, as opposed to the other way around though. If anything, for the optics of the situation. Like, no one wants to hear Bungie makes power grind longer because it was too easy, although I guess we'll see. As for the having to re-level every season deal, I know we've been dealing with similar things in the past, you know, seasons requiring 50 levels to grind, which got nerfed down to 10, which got nerfed to like once a year. People did not enjoy the leveling process, and after a certain point, neither did I. I'm wondering, with the revamps and the unlimited grind available to people going forward, if that is going to change any perceptions of the experience. This first time through might feel more novel or more fun, but is that novelty going to last a second time, a third time, a fourth time through? We'll see. I do have my concerns. Something that I would like to put on the table or ask Bungie about, which I only thought of while I was writing this, would be something like, you know, instead of resetting back to 0, maybe you hang on to a percentage of your levels, similar to what happened with commendation score. Okay, now we're done. I know that was a lot of info, and I'm not even sure I got every single bit of new information. I'm going to have more specific breakdowns of things, like especially leveling once the expansion launches with, you know, the new player guide that I'm hoping to make happen. So as we get more clarity from Bungie and from playing the game, I will elaborate more in future videos. Let me know how you're feeling about the leveling changes and the portal. Or maybe if you don't want to do that, go check out one of the other videos that I've made on my time with the Edge of Fate, linked here and in the description. I got 4 videos out right now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.